Ani, Bonjour, Bomose, Ankwat, Dishnikaz, Atikameksheng Anishnawbek, Donjnaba, Mashkostodem. Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, and I am Gima Valerie Riche from Atikameksheng. I just wanted to do a quick update to the community this morning. As you all know, we're at a turning point this week. This is the week that we've been preparing for, and we're about to find out very shortly whether our numbers continue to climb or level off. And we're hoping that things don't get any worse, but we are all, including an announcement I just read this morning, preparing for the worst right now. We know the numbers are continuing to climb, but time will tell. So this is a very critical point for Atikameksheng. Last night, council met and we declared a state of emergency. Basically, I want to tell you three things this morning, and I'm going to go into a little detail on each of them. But the first is that we are maintaining the closure of our tobacco retail stores up until April 30th. We're keeping the road closed up until April 30th. And we are stopping all visitors, only residents and essential services, and we'll talk a bit more about that also up until April 30th. All of these measures will be monitored on a daily basis and reevaluated. Things are moving very quickly, and we're going to do whatever we can to protect our community. I'm hoping we don't have to carry these measures on until April 30th. But right now, it's just easier to have that date and then make it shorter. And I'm really hoping that it doesn't go that long and we can shorten things. But we are preparing. So the first thing I guess we should talk about is the store closures. So that would be closed. We're asking the stores to maintain their closure until the end of business day, April 30th. But we know that our community members, they're also rely on those stores for purchases of their tobacco as well, and we don't want people leaving the community. We're encouraging them strongly not to leave the community. So we're asking the retail stores to open on 2 dates, only for residents in Atikameksheng. And this is the only time that the stores will be permitted to open. So if the stores choose not to, that's their choice, but we're putting this in place and we're hoping that they will help our community out in this regard. The first date is Sunday, April 5th for 4 hours from noon until 4 p.m. The second date is Monday, April 20th, and from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. These dates will be communicated. We're preparing a flyer and letters to the stores right now as we speak. So you know the road will be closed, and we're stopping all visitors, residents only, as well as essential services. So essential services are any health needs, any of our workers that have to be here. We're allowing, of course, deliveries of supplies, food, medicine. But if you don't live here, don't visit. Our members, we love you. But what we're saying is we love you, we love when you visit, but please not right now. If you do come home, we're going to ask you to isolate for 14 days. And whatever house you're going to, we're going to ask that house to also isolate for 14 days. But if you can, please maintain distance, stay where you are right now. Because where you are, there are services, healthcare services, and we're hoping to stop the spread of this thing. We're also applying the same principles to people who are in Penage and people who lease cottages as well. If you don't live here all year long, please don't be here. Don't come here. Stay away. We don't want our health jeopardized or your health jeopardized either. So we'll be monitoring the situation at Penage and determining if any further action is required. But we're really hoping that people will just stay put. RNJs, we don't want to forget them. They are an essential service with gas for us. We're asking them that they follow the same store hours as the other stores, so to maintain their store closure and to only open on those 2 dates in terms of sales. But for the gas station, we're asking them to continue supplying our community with gas as an essential service, and we'll leave them to whatever hours that they want to establish for selling gas. Lastly, just a few other updates. One of the updates is our food bank is going to be open tomorrow. So I'm asking that elders and people with compromised health to please ask for a delivered food hamper. Please don't leave your home. And I'm asking the rest of the community to let's help our elders and our people with compromised health to stay home. But there's also another group. I know just from what has been communicated to me, some of our elders are really experiencing isolation and loneliness and need some help. They're struggling, and our youth are struggling also to stay home for different reasons. But if there's anything you can do as a community member to ensure that our elders and our youth are staying home, please do that. Reach out to them through social media or phone, or if you happen to live with a youth, maybe you can try talking to them and asking them to stay home as well. There's an issue that's been a huge distraction for us. I mean, it's part of our governance, but it's really difficult timing to be going through this issue right now. But one of the things that since I got elected that has come up over and over again was the fact that we did all of this work on an election code starting in 2015, and we never voted on it. So we did that. We dusted it off. Not that it was that dusty, because it hadn't been that long ago that it was worked on. We did our due diligence. We reviewed it. We sent it to Department of Indigenous Services Canada, who I'll call ISK, for their review. We got their review and approval in December. They actually required us to make some changes. They gave us the approval to go to a vote. We went to a vote January 30th, and we had backed up all of these dates in line with our code so that we could make it to the election for June 27th. We communicated this to ISK as well, that we were under tight deadlines because we wanted to make sure our next election took place under our own law. So we had that vote. I know there was some people that were disappointed in the turnout. I'm really sorry. We had a low turnout as well, but it was a higher turnout than most of our other laws. And we followed our Chinooktagay-win, and we had a majority of people that turned out vote in approval. So we proceeded, and we had ISK approval on the ratification. So we're moving forward, and then we find out from ISK that the minister hasn't been allowed, or might not be, not for sure, just might not get around to signing off on this because he's busy. So I just want to say paternalism and bureaucracy is still alive and well under the Indian Act. So we're working hard to move this and get this on the minister's desk so he can sign off of it. The option to not doing that was that we continue with the Indian Act election. And I got to tell you right now, that is not a way for us to go. Under an Indian Act election, people would be required to come out and vote in person at our community center, except for those who were off reserve and got mail-in ballots, or people who were away or traveling or whatever. But we don't want to have people coming out to vote. And we know that through our own code, we offer a safe way of voting. People can vote from the safety of their own living room by voting online, and we're strongly encouraging that. I know there's a concern that there are people in our community who aren't online, won't see this, and won't get the vote, but in terms of the nomination package and voting, we're going to deliver those to every house in the community. Normally that's only done off reserve. So we're going to ask you to vote online or to fill in the mail-in ballots. We're putting these measures in place to stream the meetings, stream the nomination meeting, stream the count, to make sure that people stay home. The only glitch to this is we still require the minister's signature, and without this we would have a governance gap because we can't extend the term of chief and council. So we got this really nice letter that complicated things, and this is part of how the environment is constantly changing. the minister and ISK was criticized for forcing people to vote under these Indian Act elections. So just on Friday, they, it was around 9:00 p.m., I got a letter, very nice letter, from ISK officials telling us that if we wanted to postpone, we couldn't extend our term, but if we wanted to postpone, we could appoint somebody as the head of our government during the course of the pandemic. So that would still be a governance gap. That would mean that, we would appoint whoever we thought we should, and we would consider that if we didn't have a safe alternative, which is through our own code and allowing people to vote online. So ISK was very nice to say, we'll do whatever we can to help address any situation that comes up during this governance gap while there is no chief and council and you've elected somebody for hopefully up to a 6-month term. My response is, if you're going to do everything you can to go through all of those bureaucratic difficulties that would cause for our community and with our banking and agreements and everything else by not having a chief and council but delegated authority, why don't you turn that energy into helping us get the minister's signature? That's the fastest and easiest thing and for us to do. And we're very concerned about our community and we want to keep our community safe. So we're pushing very hard to get the minister to sign on this. I've written letters. I sent a letter out in the flyer. On the weekend, I released a press release as soon as I saw that letter from the minister. Yesterday, CBC picked it up. There was an interview on CBC. But I think the only way to really get the minister to do this now is to exert whatever pressure we can to have him to sign this. So I've reached out to Ontario Regional Chief, Grand Chief Glenn Hare. I've reached out to all of their communications people. I've reached out to the National Chief at the Assembly of First Nations. And this all takes a lot of time in the middle of this pandemic, and it's a real unfortunate situation. Anyway, I'm about to sign off. I just wanted to give you those updates. And I want to let you know that we're continuing to work very hard and ask all of you to come together, stand together as a community. And lastly, please, can you let people know that not to come here tomorrow? I'm afraid of long lines of traffic and safety hazards or conditions on our roads if people show up looking for tobacco and trying to get into our community. So if you could spread the word on that, would be very helpful. Miigwech, and please stay safe.